gentlemen, and welcome to episode 78 of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in way too hot Los Angeles, California. Joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
In nice, cool, collected Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It is nice here. It's been in the 60s all week, although raining, but nice. A nice temperature for hockey fans. And hockey season just ended, and hockey season's coming up on January 1st, according to the NHL. Welcome to episode 78 of Geeks Who Like Sports. We're actually really excited to be here today. I look forward to this every week, Ray. I look forward to this moment every week. We have a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to stop this monologue, but I'm going to tell you this. The sports world and the geek world, as always, just gifted us with topics for the week that we get to discuss here with you watching at home. So please participate, comment below if there's anything you want to know about us or any questions you have, and enjoy this episode.
Yes, we have a lot to get to. As you said, it was 102 here today in Los Angeles, so about 40 degrees warmer than you here in the middle of October.
That makes no sense, by the way. But
yep. Well,
yeah.
Climate change. Anyway,
it's not real, Ray.
We're not going down that road.
No, we're not. It's very real.
Yeah, it's very real. Right? Yeah, exactly. I thought there's a fire tornado down the street. Yeah, that's very real. Yeah. Anyway.
Bomb cyclone.
Bomb cyclone, fire tornado, cryogenesis, all kinds. Anyway, we're not here to give you the weather report. We're here to talk about all the kinds of stuff that's going on in the geek and sports world. There is a lot. We've got all four major sports on the docket. We've also got a lot of stuff with streaming services. We've got Marvel Legacy films. We've got Thor, Ragnarok. And we even have a tease for what we're doing on Monday, which is going to be a very special episode of Geeks Who Like Sports, as we are appearing at virtual TrekCon.
What could it be? I don't know what it could be.
I don't know.
I don't know. You don't know what it could be? I don't know what it could be. Listen, I want you to prosper and have a long life, okay? Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that.
Ray!
A little more later in the show.
Yeah. We'll tease that later. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later for sure, but that's definitely something to look forward to. But for now, let's get things started with sports. A lot going on in the sports world. Most recently, Lee and I, our predictions were slightly off. It went 6 games instead of 5, mostly because for some reason LeBron decided to pass instead of shoot, and because of that, but the Lakers, no surprise, beat the Heat. They were the better team from start to finish. It was one of the worst clinching games I've ever seen in NBA history. Even though the final score, where they only won by 13, they were up. The Lakers were up by 28 at the half. They were up by 30 at a couple of different points, and then they put all the backups in the last couple of minutes, and the Heat kind of hit some threes to make it look closer than it ever actually was. LeBron James, another triple-double. First guy in NBA Finals history to win not only 3 championships, several people have done that with 3 different teams, but he's won the MVP, the Finals MVP with 3 different teams, so he's the first to do that. Anthony Davis had a great series, obviously. J.R. Smith couldn't take his shirt off fast enough. It was no surprise that the Lakers were the team of destiny. They looked like the best team basically since game 2 of the first round. I think it was the Trailblazers hit them in the mouth in that first game, and they're like, oh, we're playing now. These games matter. Okay, and then they haven't looked back. Yeah, Lee, what are your thoughts on the NBA Finals and us being pretty much right?
Well, I've got a few thoughts, all right? I try and go outside the box, not the normal stuff. Number one is I think we do have to acknowledge this was one of the worst teams in the league last year, and they completely turned it around and became a champion, which I don't care who's on the team. I don't care if it's Jordan. I don't care if it's Bird. I don't care if it's LeBron James. To go from literally worst to first is an extremely hard thing to do, and they did it. Now, this also brings a lot of unwarranted criticism of, well, yeah, if you make a super team, you can win anything. I hate this argument. The Bulls dynasty was a super team.
Yeah.
All right. The Lakers were a super team. I mean, and the previous Lakers have been super teams. They were a team is the key. They came together to win, and they won. I also think that LeBron James, and again, I've become a little bit more of a James defender in recent years.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with politics. I'm talking purely about basketball. To win an NBA championship and an MVP with 3 different teams, to do it after a year where they were the worst team in the league, to do it in the year that Kobe died, with the amount of pressure this man has on him. Can we please stop the debate? He is clearly one of the greatest of all time and now deserves to be in the conversation. Now, with that said, you can absolutely debate between him, Kobe, and Jordan, and several other
Bird
players.
and Russell for
Right.
sure. Like
But he deserves to be in that conversation.
Magic, Kareem,
right.
like.
I will say this again, off the court continues to be a pretty outstanding citizen of the United States of America, whether you agree with his politics or not. I don't always agree with the man, but he's a great American. He's a great basketball player, one of the greatest. And his accolades are at a point now where I've said this before in a previous episode, you really probably should start, I'm not trying to lecture, but you probably should start trying to enjoy him now instead of going against him. He's only going to be around for a few more seasons. And in my opinion, there are no other players in the league that are even close to matching his level of talent. This also goes for guys like Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin. Nobody in football right now, they're all pretty young. I mean, Tom Brady, I guess, would be the name. But, and then baseball, who would you say, Ray, in baseball? Guys that are, I don't know if baseball even has that player right now.
You don't have that aging guy who,
No,
maybe Albert Pujols, right? Maybe like a guy who's on his last legs who you want to appreciate.
I don't know if he's in the greatest of all time conversation, but I mean,
no, Trout. People are already starting to say Trout maybe, but you got to see how his career plays out. Still, he's still too young. I don't think that there's really anyone in baseball at that level. Again, Pujols is probably the closest, over 660 home runs. Again, I don't think he's the best ever. I think he's maybe a top 20 player of all time. But
sure. Yeah. I don't want to talk about baseball. They're on my SHIT list right now. But
I will say this.
Next. We will. Congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers in the only year I think I've ever been pulling for you to win.
Yeah.
It means a lot to Laker Nation. I cannot believe that Kobe's died in this year the way this year has gone. But that probably didn't heal any hearts, but it probably softened the blow a little bit. And again, look, it was cool to see Miami get to the final. Hats off to Butler for leading that team.
Yep.
I do also have to mention, though, that and we can get a little bit into this, Ray, is that the ratings for the games were at a very, very, very low point. Not a lot of people watch this NBA final. You can say that's due to some of the racial divide that has been represented through the NBA. My opinion is this. If that is the reason the ratings are going down, we have a bigger problem. Whether I agree with them or not in terms of what they're saying, right? And I'm being ambiguous for a reason because I'm not trying to make it about that. I'm trying to say that, what are we doing here if the ratings are down because of that? But the NBA has to survive. If they want to survive, they have to have people watch the games, which means that maybe there's a more I don't want to say conducive way. I don't think that'd be fair to the messaging. There has to be a way to get these messages across where we're not divided about the messaging. That's what I'm trying to say. We need to find some form of common ground where everybody is pushing forward together with the messages of racial injustice. I'm hoping that after the election, and again, I'm not trying to get political here. I'm actually making this about sports. I'm hoping that after the election, when that's done and maybe the dust has settled a little bit, we can start to look with a little bit more clear eyes. It's tough to do it right now when political rivals are going at each other and going for each other's throats. Yeah. But I will say that there is no solution to the racial injustice problem in this country if we're not all working towards a common goal. It can't be us versus them to solve that. And the NBA needs to find a way to do that. And the way they're doing it right now, in my opinion, for the broad scheme is not working, okay? I'm not saying the messaging is wrong. I'm saying the way they're distributing the message might not be as conducive as they want it to be because I'm pulling for the NBA. I picked up basketball recently as a hobby. I really enjoy it. But I had to mention that. I mean, the ratings were at an all-time low.
Yes.
And I don't want to come to broad generalizations that speaks about America. I don't think it does. I just think it means we have to work harder. That's what I think that means.
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons why it was probably a low-rated series. I think you also got a lot of other things going on. Obviously, it was Game 6 was competing against Sunday Night Football as well as baseball. You had the Game 1 of the American League Championship Series getting underway, so you had a lot of sports happening at once.
It's very fair. And at a time when basketball is typically not on. To be very
correct.
Fair. You're right.
That's correct. They typically don't have to compete with football and baseball playoffs. Also, I mean, look, it's I don't know how the best way to reach people is. Obviously, I'm always pro peaceful protest, and that's what a lot of this was. What I was against and was very vocal against on social media was, of course, then the ensuing riots that took place here in LA after the Lakers won the championship because you schlubs don't know how to celebrate like you've been there before. And look, I have no sense. Yeah. They were burning buses, they were blowing up cars, they were like, it's just like, and why in the middle of a pandemic? It just was like, why? And I get it. People have been cooped up. People are looking for an escape and a release, but that's not conducive to anyone. The cops had to come out, had to try and disperse them. 2,000 people crowded around Staples Center and destroyed public buses. That comes out of your taxes. Those buses now are going to come out of your taxes. Come on.
Not the smartest move.
No, it's not like the Red Sox after breaking an 86-year curse, or the Eagles after not winning in 50 years, and even those weren't nearly as bad as what
we didn't destroy our city. Yeah,
exactly, and that's why people rag on me because I always root against LA, even though I live here, and I'm like, yeah, I rag on them and I root against them because I worry for the safety of myself and my friends. I
just got this visual of New York winning something, and then you running into the street in LA, like ripping your shirt off, and no one's celebrating but you, and you just hulking it out down to Rodeo Drive, just right, New York wins, down to the valley to that Karate Kid mural near your house, which all of a sudden is extremely relevant.
Yes, I know.
I visited LA in 2012, or 2013, I believe. I visited LA. And there's this huge Karate Kid mural there near Ray's house. It's really cool. It's Daniel LaRusso versus Johnny Lawrence at the height of the All Valley tournament. It's an amazing mural.
It's the final. He's getting ready for the crane kick. And
And I remember looking at this mural and like, that's a relic. That's really cool. And now it's like the most relevant mural in Los Angeles. It's incredible how things happen like that.
Yeah,
this was a weird transition.
It was a weird transition, but congrats to the Lakers, and congrats to the fans who didn't riot. Way
to go.
Yes, no, exactly. Yes, look, and I get it.
Good luck transitioning out of this one.
The 99% of you, all right, look, but you got to, again, 1% can very easily ruin it for everyone. When you're destroying city buses.
You know who else can ruin it for everybody? A bad manager in baseball. There you go.
Yeah, and you know who I think is right now one of the worst managers in baseball? The New York Yankees.
Aaron Boone.
Yep. The final frontier. Aaron bleeping Boone. But that's what Boston calls him. Now that's what New York fans call him, because his pitching decisions in the 5-game series against the Rays, I do sincerely believe, is what cost them the series. What cost them Game 2, and it also cost them Game 5. I genuinely believe that, and I'll also say this, in Game 5, the Yankee bats were absolutely put to sleep and absolutely shut down by the Rays pitching staff that game. But it has to be said, it should never have gotten to a Game 5 if Aaron Boone did not get cute, along with Brian Cashman, our general manager, and be like, let's start a righty Game 2, then pull him after an inning, and suddenly Kevin Cash's lineup can't hit lefties, because we'll put the lefty in. Well, guess what? They hit the lefty for 4 runs in 2 innings, and the Yankees never quite recovered from that, and it's genuinely a shame. Tanaka is done. He did not have his stuff either. I'm telling you right now, James Paxton, Masahiro Tanaka, Jay Happ, goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. You are done as Yankees, and I hope I never see you again.
Wow. Okay, that was a toss to me. I feel bad for Chapman losing 2 years in a row in the same way.
He's getting a reputation now as a guy who gives up the big home run.
Well, if it happens a third time, I'll say yes, but I don't give him one against the Astros.
I also give him some of those against the regular season matchups against the Red Sox. Rafael Devers, anyone in important divisional games?
Yes, I can see that you're upset about the Yankees. I'll say this. They went further than anybody thought they were going to go, including one Ray Carcillo. Lee Elias was right that they were going to go further than that. I don't know who Lee Elias is, but if he was here right now, he'd be smiling about that. Look,
they went one round further. They went one.
Hey, listen. Hey. You don't get to take this from me. I said it. I said they get out of the first round. That's what I said. No, in all seriousness, I don't like it when managers get cute in baseball. In football, I get it with plays. I don't get it in baseball. I've said this repeatedly. For those of you who don't know, or maybe those that are new to the show, my job outside of this is consulting coaches. Okay, so this is a realm that I'm proficient at, and I've worked in for several years as a coach, as a consultant to coaches, so forth and so on. Stop taking the games out of your players' hands.
Exactly.
Stop doing it. Let the players win the games. If you are in the postseason and you have the best pitcher in baseball, you don't need to get cute with your other pitchers. Just let them do their job. This is what they were built for. I have so little tolerance for when coaches do things that takes the game out of the players' hands. That is what Aaron Boone and Cashman did.
Yep.
All right? And they paid for it. They paid for it. And there was no need to do that.
It turned the series around, honestly.
There's no need to do that. They were hot. They were winning. They got out of the first round with no problem. It's just, what are you doing?
And dominated in Game 1. The Yankees looked amazing after Game 1.
Again, Ray, this is what I say. I do believe that year after year, season after season, you have to make changes. I don't think you can do the same thing over and over again season after season. But, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, if your team is hot and they're flowing, leave it alone. For the sake of God, and Ray Carcillo, who's living in enemy territory, what are you doing? Joe Torre never would have done that. Ever.
No.
Ever.
No.
And he won a few times.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, this is the modern Major League Baseball.
Aaron Boone.
Modern League Major League Baseball's using trash cans. It's not doing this stuff. What are you doing?
Aaron Boone is a great regular season manager. He tries all this stuff in the playoffs year after year after year, and again the Yankees lose. And
because he wants to be the guy. He wants to be the reason they win. Yeah, and that is not what a great manager does.
Yeah, because he has one great moment in his career as a player, which is hitting a walk-off against Boston in 2003. And he's still trying to relive his glory days. He's a bum.
I am not a Yankee fan. I won't call the guy a bum, but I'm not a Yankee fan. But I am a fan of coaches who take the game out of their players' hands in that type of situation. And then suddenly Cole is on the mound, and it's all on him to win it for the Yankees. And he did his job, too, by the way.
He did. He gave up only one run in 5 1/3 innings, and then the bullpen blew it.
That's right.
Which has been a liability the whole year.
Right. I have very little tolerance for coaches that do that in any sport. Especially baseball, where you can be fat and for some reason wear that uniform.
Bartolo Colon, David Wells, and you just dominate somehow.
Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. It's a coaching point of view. There was just no need to mess with what was working. And make no mistake, these guys get big heads. I've seen it. They get big heads. They think that they're Civil War generals and they can march across an open field and that they're going to win the battle. And you're not going to win the battle when the team has the higher ground.
Yeah.
All right. So it just disgraceful. But the Yankees and baseball. Once again, baseball just sucks this year. I don't know how else to say it.
No,
it's heading towards a World Series that not many people are going to watch.
No, now it looks like it's going to be Braves versus Rays, as the Rays are up 2-0 in the ALCS, and the Braves are up big in Game 2 against the Dodgers. They took Game 1, so it looks like they're going to go up 2-0. And I mean, I guess I'm rooting for Atlanta now, which is disgusting.
Not rooting for anybody. I'm not watching a game.
Yeah,
I stick by my word. This baseball season's tainted to me. I have no desire to see this right now.
No, that's completely fair.
I'll just watch my crappy football team.
Yeah, no, it's tough to watch. I mean, good for the Braves, they are making the best of it. Good for the Rays, they are making the best of it. I guess I am glad they are beating the Astros and putting the Astros in their place at the very least. The Dodgers are choke artists as always.
Is a silver lining.
That's the Dodgers.
I'll give you that silver lining with the Astros.
Yeah. But I mean, that's basically, unfortunately, that's where we're at with baseball. And they also said on the radio today, Hal Steinbrenner, the principal owner for the New York Yankees, said he is not firing Aaron Boone, which is heartbreaking, and he's not firing Brian Cashman. And honestly, people rag on me for saying that we should fire Brian Cashman, but the truth is, people forget. Brian Cashman, yes, he was the GM in front of those teams from 98 to 2000, but he inherited the teams, much like people don't always give Torre a lot of credit because he inherited the team from Buck Showalter. Bob Watson and Gene Stick Michael were the GMs who put together the Yankee teams that ended up being competitive in the late 90s and winning championships. Cashman, from the ground up, built one championship team that was in 2009 that beat Lee's Phillies, and they haven't done anything since. And I had to get that in there. I still think we should fire Cashman and Boone. So that's baseball. That's where we're at, folks. It's not even really a Ray rant. It's just kind of like the team just makes me sick.
We need to lighten this episode up a bit. We've been pessimistic the whole time. What do we got next? Football. Oh, shit.
Oh, no. It's not going to get much better with football, folks.
No. Make sure you look at the time codes if this is depressing you and you get to the geek stuff because it's really good this week.
Yes. Yeah, no. It's so obviously a lot of stuff going on still with coronavirus, a lot of stuff going on with COVID, which of course is also a big reason why I was also very mad about the Laker riots, by the way. If I didn't make that clear enough. But also, a lot of schedule changes, a couple of outbreaks, the Patriots, the Titans, a couple other teams now. They've had to, we're recording this on a Tuesday. We're recording this on October 13th on Tuesday. And the Bills and Titans are actually playing as we speak. We have Tuesday night football to make up for games that have been delayed because of ongoing COVID tests. And fortunately, thankfully, the Titans have been cleared now at this point. But we've got teams giving up their bye weeks now, other teams moving things around. Huge, massive schedule changes in football to get all the games in, and also not adds weeks to the season, which to me is ridiculous. But there you have it. So coronavirus at the time, football in the time of coronavirus, much like baseball, not handling it as well as they could have. And, we got through, I think, 2.5 weeks without any outbreaks? Well,
here's the deal. And we're going to take the same approach I take with baseball. Yeah. The integrity of football for this season is still intact in my mind, as of right now, but it has gone from green to yellow. All right? And they have to get this together, right? At some point, it's going to become a problem. Now, I have heard rumblings, I don't think anything official, but I have heard rumblings that there's a lot of people within the NFL that think, hey, Tennessee should have to forfeit their game. That if you get it and you get quarantined, then you should have to forfeit. I don't agree with that just yet, but that is probably going to be an eventual outcome if this continues to happen. That you're just going to forfeit a game.
Yeah, you can't keep switching the schedule up like this as it gets later into the season.
No, and they switched a lot of games, and some of them were like, okay, week 6 or week 3 or week 6 to week 12, and at some point the integrity gets compromised again. Not there yet. Yeah. Not there quite yet. All right, but get it together, NFL. Get it together.
Well, and what's worse with the NFL outbreaks also is that, baseball's just starting to allow fans, which was super weird, by the way. The Braves are basically playing in from a home crowd 7 days in a row because of all the folks who migrated over from Atlanta, which is just what you want during a pandemic, which is all these fans to go across state lines and to...
Yeah, smart.
Freaking baseball. But football's doing the same, is that a lot of stadiums are starting to open up and have started to allow fans. Even the Eagles actually announced today that they're going to allow 6,000 fans in their next home game. Do you really want a crowd in front of a team? Because then, the crowd can give it to the team can give it to the crowd.
It comes down to how socially distanced they can get, and also it comes down to the restrictions in the area. The restrictions in this area are coming down. I don't like it. I wouldn't recommend it. But that's again, football in the time of coronavirus. Things are opening up. If there's another spike, it'll come back down. Look, I'm a believer in half and half on this strategy. Okay, in the sense of this, you can't stay at home all the time. In terms of like you have to let people work. You have to let people kind of do things, but you can do it safely. And the question is this going to be safe? Who knows? You know what the thing is? If there's an outbreak in an NFL stadium, MLB stadium, you're never going to hear about it. You won't hear that they got it at the game. Yeah. So just stay vigilant, stay smart, don't put yourself in danger, protect your life, but live your life at the same time to the best of your ability.
Yeah, it's a hard hard line to toe.
Absolutely. Nothing easy about this time. I'm
for sure. On that. And speaking of toes and ankles and difficulties, and I'm sorry, that was a bad transition.
That was so bad. But so good at the same time. That was horribly bad. Good,
I'm sorry.
bad.
I'm sorry. And honestly, I'm going to say this. We said it on the page, and we're going to say it here as well. Even me as a Giants fan and Lee as an Eagles fan, our hearts go out to Dak Prescott.
Absolutely.
We hope that he has a full recovery. It was a gruesome injury. I hope you all, if you haven't seen it, don't go look it up. Especially if you've just eaten or anything like that. It is a gruesome injury. His ankle was absolutely destroyed. He had to have emergency surgery.
It was a Theismann level break. Let's just put it that way.
It was
Against the Giants again.
really bad. It was almost Alex Smith level, except for his ankle,
Yeah.
not his leg. But they had to reattach all the tendons. It was rough.
Yeah. Let me jump in here real quick, Ray. Sorry if that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, that the reason my heart broke with that, first off, is as an athlete, former athlete, as a coach, you just never want to see a player deal with a potential career-ending injury, which that is. Okay, I know they're saying he's going to come back, but it's potential career-ending no matter how you look at it.
He'll never be the same afterwards.
And no, there was this shot of him after it happened where he's clearly in shock and just looking at his leg and his foot is sideways.
Yeah.
And I had a flashback because I'm not saying I played in the NFL, but when I was a 17-year-old high school senior being recruited, I tore my shoulder very badly in one of my games. And I'll spare everybody the details, but I'll just say that when I looked down, my arm was upside down. That's the best way to describe it. It didn't look right, and I remember not feeling any pain, but I remember thinking, "Oh my God, this is it." And then I got off the ice and I cried for 20 minutes straight. And when I saw Dak crying, I'm not trying to compare my life to an NFL player's life, but I know exactly what that feels like, and it was devastating to me to see that. So as someone who had to recover from a potential career-ending injury, not at the same level, but it's devastating to see that happen to any athlete on any team, especially a man really as nice as Dak Prescott. There really is no negative press on Dak. Outside contract negotiation time. Yeah. All right, he's a good human being. Even Jerry Jones went out of his way to make a statement that that this is devastating to our organization and to him as a person, and we'll take care of him. So again, as Ray, I'm echoing what Ray said. Hearts go out to you, Dak Prescott. Again, my enemy is my friend, if you will, in the terms of sports, and we wish you nothing but a speedy recovery and everything going right with your rehab to get back on the football field, because you deserve it. You deserve to be on the football field. I mean that. Yeah.
No, he's a great player. It's a great story. He's been a great quarterback. He was having a career year when he got hurt. And you just, you hate to see this, at any given moment, you hate to see it ever. And it just...
I do got to say this too. I'm sorry. I was thinking about whether I want to say this or not, and I do. To the fans out there that were cheering when this happened, especially the Eagles fans
and Giants fans.
I'll just look. I can only speak to Philadelphia. I know our reputation. I know the reputation we like to have. There's no honor in that. There's just none. For as an Eagles fan, I'm not talking as a football fan. Mm-hmm. You could say screw honor. There's no honor as an Eagles fan to do that. Okay, I have no tolerance when people cheer injuries to other players. Really, even if you don't like the player. All right, so I just had to say that. It's despicable, it's unwarranted, and if you're not willing to put on the pads and get out there, then shut up. If you're not willing to go through the pain that these guys go through normally without being injured, shut up. Okay? If you want to be an opponent of the team because you don't like the team, that's fine. But never cheer for a man when he breaks his ankle in half. Okay? Yeah. That is not it's not honorable. All right? And it's not right. It doesn't make you look like a good fan. It makes you look like an asshole. All right? Yeah. All right? And again, we pride ourselves on being intimidating in Philadelphia, and I'm all about that. But there is a line. And that's beyond the line for me. If you have a problem with that, feel free to let me know. I'll be happy to stand up to you and talk to you as an Eagles fan. I'm not afraid to put my face out there. But if you're going to sit behind your keyboard and cheer for a guy who potentially just lost his career, you're an a-hole. Yeah. Okay? And if you can't tell, we probably bleeped that curse word I just said, but I wanted to show that I was being serious.
Yeah, Caitlin, make sure you get that one.
Yes, Caitlin, our producer, who we could not make the show without. We'll have bleeped that word, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Caitlin.
Yes. But that just shows the passion. I mean, and also I want to just say too, and it's not ragging, but I get it sometimes with old school football minds who kind of were just like, well, next man up, and it's like, no, take a moment. It's in bad taste to just say next man up, especially with an injury like that, right?
Yeah,
it's not. It's
like you
not.
said, take a breath.
Yeah, exactly. It's not when it's a career-threatening injury, like a limb-threatening injury, like, I mean, you need to, like, let that breathe and not just be like, well, next man up, Andy Dalton, great quarterback. This means Dallas will focus on the run game. Tony Dungy, I'm talking to you. Let
me tell you this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. There's a statement, and take it with a grain of salt for all you listen out here, but it is true. I can confirm this is true. They say athletes die twice: the day you stop playing your sport and the day you die. Yeah. And I can confirm that it hurts horrendously when you have to hang up the skates or the pads or the cleats or whatever. Okay, and it does not go away mostly ever. You just kind of learn how to deal with it. I'm not comparing this to something like a major disease. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just talking as a former athlete right now, okay? And there are moments in your career, there are moments when you're playing that you think this might be it, and it is terrifying. And Dak is going through that 24 hours a day right now. Don't care how much the guy gets paid. Don't care how rich you think the guy is or anything like that. I don't wish that upon him. Okay? I don't wish that upon any athlete. So just take a breath. Take a breath. Let the man have his peace right now. And, Godspeed, God wishes to you, Dak Prescott.
Yeah. So having to move on, of course, the team that did that to him was my New York Giants. It was Giants versus Cowboys. It was a very heated contest. It was a game that really kind of could actually determine the division. Cowboys now have in first place at 2-3. The Giants are basically done at 0-5. Whatever glimmer of hope that we had is completely extinguished now.
Now you're going for the draft.
Now now it is truly tank for Trevor time.
You and the Jets going head to head once again.
Us, the Jets, and the Falcons are all 0-5. It's actually
the Falcons are going to start winning now. Trust me.
Well, you have a new coach. Yeah, I think the Falcons will pull a few games out. Yeah,
they took themselves out of the playoffs.
Yeah,
with that move. So
yeah, so it's going to be an interesting finish to the season. Honestly, I still think that if anyone, I still believe the Giants will pull a game or two out. I think the Jets could legit go 0-16 because they are terrible.
It's not good.
That is a dumpster fire for a different day. We are going to talk now about Daniel Dumpster Fire Jones. Again, and this is, and I talked with Lee about this. I need to mention this. This is Giants are 0-5, but in 3 of those 5 games, the Giants had the ball last possession with a chance to win or tie in the fourth quarter. That is the thing that true NFL quarterbacks dive for. They love that opportunity. You see all these guys
as kids, we do that.
Yeah, like you live for that. And I know everyone's like, well, Daniel Jones came back against Washington last year. That's not impressive. Okay? You had a chance against the Bears, the Rams, and the Cowboys. Huge games in the conference and the division. And he choked. He choked
hardcore
each and every time. And horribly, too. Now, some of it is play calling. I'll definitely say that on that last drive before they punted it away and then let Andy Dalton then carve up their defense for the game-winning field goal, that the play calling from Jason Garrett, a.k.a. the Clapper, it was not the best play calling that he had in his back pocket. No. If anything, that was the time to finally start dinking and dunking, because then you could have milked the clock and set up for a game-winning field goal. By the way, for the first time in 30 years, I legitimately feel comfortable with the Giants' place kicker now, because Graham Gano, for the first time in Giants history, hit 3 field goals from 50-plus yards in one game. The last time a Giants kicker looked that good was Matt Barr in the swirling winds of the Candlestick Park in San Francisco in the 1990 AFC Championship game that allowed the Giants to go to Super Bowl 25 and beat the Bills when he hit 2 50-yard field goals. The Giants won 15-13. Okay, that's the last time I felt comfortable with a Giant place kicker. So Graham Gano, good on you, buddy. Welcome to, But other than that, the Giants looked really rough on Sunday. The defense looked okay at times. The offense looked okay at times. But again, Daniel Jones choked when they needed him to play his best When he needed him to play his best football, he played his worst. And that's now 3 times in 5 games this season. That's a really bad portent for things to come. And now I'm going to give you a chance to talk, Lee. I also want to mention, because they're inextricably forever linked, Dwayne Haskins was taken 10 picks after Daniel Jones by Washington. Now, he sat this week because I don't think Ron Rivera knows exactly what he's doing. But Haskins has thrown for more yards and more touchdowns than Daniel Jones coming into this week. Obviously, after this week, those numbers have flipped. Haskins didn't play. Jones did. He also has more rushing touchdowns than Daniel Jones. And now people are saying, well, Haskins looks down his receiver too much. Jones does the same thing. Haskins' footwork is still a problem. Jones is the same thing. The Giants took a worse quarterback who has been playing worse 10 spots ahead of Washington, and it's now we have definitive statistical proof. I am sick of Daniel Jones out of Duke. Time to tank for Trevor. Lee, what are your thoughts on the Giants' 0-5 start and Daniel Jones' stats?
Well, with Daniel Jones, what I remember is when he was drafted, just a lot of like, why? Why now? Why did you pick him in this early in the draft when he was clearly probably going to be there in the second round, to be fair?
Second or even third round.
Yeah, I again, look, it's just one of the biggest bonehead moves. Hindsight is absolutely 20/20 on this one. That's the only kind of like credit I'll give. I mean, like I said, if he's winning Super Bowls, people aren't saying this, but he's not. And your job's to win in the NFL.
Yes.
Again, the Giants are just, I mean, look, it's like, how does it get worse at 0-4 when your defense is playing bad, defense is playing well and the offense is playing bad? You lose to a team that doesn't have their quarterback, and we're winning the game. And then, I remember like when they didn't score on that last drive, I turned and I said, the Cowboys are going to win this with 3 seconds left on a field goal, and they did.
Yep.
It is devastating to Giants fans. Again, proud franchise. We just talked about coaches letting the players play.
Yeah.
This is GMs doing the job that they shouldn't be doing, making dumb bonehead draft decisions where they didn't need to because they saw the Eagles do it, and that is exactly why they did it, Ray. They saw this guy out of North Dakota come out and bring us to a Super Bowl. And they just thought, oh, maybe these guys are underlooked. Well, that might be true. You still don't pick them in the top 10 of the draft in the first round when they're going to be there later on when there were very good players available.
Yeah.
So, again,
you don't take him with his number 6 pick.
Didn't understand it. To your credit, you didn't understand it at the time. You've never been a Jones supporter, and it's playing out that you're absolutely right. Again, the only credit I'll give Daniel Jones, he's being incredibly mismanaged by the team.
Yes.
He was thrown in to replace Eli at a time he should not have had to do that.
Yeah.
And then he's been put in front of an O-line that is just subpar.
Yes.
That's it. That's simple.
Yeah. No, for sure. But again, this is a thing where assume the Giants do get the number 1 pick. And people are like, "Oh, we got to get a left tackle." I'm like, "I don't know how you don't take Trevor Lawrence if you have the number 1 pick." It's like the Rangers and Alexis Lafreniere, and that leads us into hockey. Yes. So, of course, we talked about the...
I don't know if you guys know this, but it's my favorite sport. Hockey is my favorite sport.
I thought that was a much better transition than the Dak transition.
Anything would have been better than that Dak transition, just so you know.
I'm sorry. Anyway.
It was bad.
But,
it
was pretty... It was really bad. It was really bad. But, yeah, so... lots going on in hockey free agency. Free agency has officially started.
Yes.
I mean, we are talking a lot. Obviously, we talked a couple weeks ago about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They won the Cup. They're pretty quiet, no surprise. But a lot of other teams are gearing up. It's hard to say. I mean, again, Lee mentioned it. It sounds like that. I guess preseason will start January 1st for hockey, and probably.
It sounded like the season starts January 1st, right?
Ooh.
To be honest with you. So, I mean, and there's a lot of rumors going around that the season's going to start on an outdoor playing surface like a pond or a lake. No one really knows, but the NHL has been very clear that come January 1, they want to be playing hockey again, which is exactly what we predicted.
Yes.
It's exactly what we suggested and predicted, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Some hockey fans were a little bit upset about that, which I didn't get. I mean, give these guys their off season; they've earned it.
Yeah.
All of them. Some of you guys say, well, some of them went out months ago. Like, that's the off season, man. Give them a break, all right? And like I said, let them be with their families for the holidays, especially if they're going to have to, quarantine in a lot of places that they're going. Just give them some time.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I'm looking at, like, there's going to be a 60-plus game season going to end probably a little bit later. Might end in July this year. I don't know yet. Depends on what goes on. But in the NHL free agency, there's been a lot of moves. There has been at least 6 major goaltending moves, including Henrik Lundqvist to the Washington Capitals.
Yep.
There's been a ton of players moves. I mean, there's really actually too many to go over, to be honest with you. I would just suggest you go to tsn.ca and look at their trade tracker. I mean, there's too many moves to go over.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. We'll mention a few big ones. Alex Pietrangelo of St. Louis went to Vegas on a 7-year deal, and that was right after Vegas basically cleared up the cap space by trading Nate Schmidt to Vancouver for draft picks. So, I mean, to me, both players are very, very good, but I think Pietrangelo is obviously an upgrade.
Look, this puts Vegas once again as a cup contender, which they have been, but it puts them even closer to the cup. They're going to keep Marc-Andre Fleury. They said that they're not going to they're going to keep with the same goaltending tandem that they have. I personally think they're doing that because they want to. Look, I've been predicting this for a while. I believe that Marc-Andre Fleury will be the goaltender for the Seattle Kraken come next season. I think that's what they're doing. They know they can offer him the season afterwards. And if I'm the Kraken, I'm taking him because he knows exactly what to do in those situations.
Yes.
And it would be funny if he was the first goalie to lead like 2 expansion franchises to a Stanley Cup final.
That would be amazing. Yeah, that would be a phenomenal.
That's who I would want. I mean, if look, there are no goalies out there.
He's got 2 or 3 years left on his deal. So
right. I think I'm going to predict that right now in 2020, in October of 2020, that Marc-Andre Fleury will be the expansion goaltending pick for the Seattle Kraken.
Makes perfect sense.
Reference this episode in a year when I said that because I want people to know. That was a huge move. Again, I'm looking at some of the other trades. I mean, there's so many. It's tough to do.
Markstrom, speaking of Vancouver, went to Calgary. One of the big moves that Lee was mentioning. And you mentioned Tyler Toffoli, former King, former champion there. Yeah. He went to Montreal.
Champion, yeah, Max Domi's with the Blue Jackets, and Josh Anderson was in the trade to the Canadians.
Koivu goes to the Blue Jackets from Minnesota.
That's right. So the Blue Jackets, once again, getting kind of the things that they need to kind of get over the hump. Again, Blue Jackets are a very good team and often underestimated, if you will, in terms of where they can be, have a good coach as well. But yeah, lots of moves. I mean, the biggest move that we want to talk about, obviously, is Henrik Lundqvist to the Capitals.
Yeah.
I did not believe this was going to happen. It was reported earlier last week by some really unofficial sources, and I thought there's no way he would go there, and he did.
Yeah.
And obviously, Braden Holtby goes out to Vancouver, which if you know Braden Holtby makes perfect sense. He's definitely like a woodsman. That makes a lot of sense for someone like him. But now Ovechkin and Lundqvist together in somewhat of not a revenge tour, but a hey, look, we're not washed up tour.
Yeah.
Lundqvist will be the starting goaltender in Washington.
Yeah, and he'll have that young kid as the backup. He'll kind of mentor him as the last this year. Yeah.
Right, so it's going to be an interesting matchup over in the Metropolitan Division. Watch out for those Capitals-Ranger games.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Lundqvist wants to play at the Garden. That might be a little bit too emotional for him. He really loves that team.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll step up to it. But Capitals, have always been a threat, but this is a totally new dynamic that I wasn't expecting. As a Flyers fan, I still have to deal with Lundqvist, which is with Ovechkin in front of him, which is not since Jágr has he had a player like that.
Yeah.
So very interesting moves in the NHL. We'll have way more coverage next week when the trade signings kind of dies down a little bit. It's still pretty hot. I mean, it's not red hot now, but it's simmering.
It is very hot. Yeah. We mentioned, and also Taylor Hall going to Buffalo. There's a lot going on there.
Let me talk about Taylor Hall going to Buffalo. Now,
1 year, $8 million.
I don't know. Yeah, look, I don't know Taylor Hall. He seems like a nice guy, but every team he goes to just dies. I mean, they seem to have a good season and then they plummet. It happened in Edmonton, then they plummeted. He goes to the Devils. He has an MVP season of the league. The team goes to hell. He goes out to Arizona, nothing. So Buffalo is a logical place for a player like that to land. Maybe they're trying the opposite of, we'll send you to a really bad team. Maybe they'll turn them around. Yeah. He did put out a very nice video message to the Buffalo fans, saying he's excited to be a Sabre and go Bills, and he said all the right things. But
and he'll play with Eichel. You got some talent up there.
Eichel needed him. Yeah, I think Eichel was begging them, please, God, give me something else to play with here. It does give them potential to do really well in their division, but that team has been a dumpster fire for the better part of 5 years. A once proud team that was in the Cup final or near it every year names like Daniel Briere and Drury and Michael Pekka. I mean,
yeah,
Dominic
Miller and net, if I remember correctly. And
right, Ryan Miller.
Yep.
I mean, just a couple decades of really great play
with those disgusting Twinkie uniforms, but it is what it is.
Right. Hey, listen, people like I don't know what they're doing, but if you're a Sabres fan, you're probably excited. If you're an NHL fan, you're kind of like, oh boy, okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Taylor Hall, get your act together. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like Lee said, we got a lot more to talk about with hockey in the coming weeks as a lot of this stuff settles down.
Yes.
Also just quickly in the Lundqvist thing, we all thought he was going to go to Colorado. That seemed like the logical choice.
Yeah,
and just
it would make sense, but I guess,
like you said, Lee, it might be a revenge tour.
I think it's a revenge thing, and I have a feeling when Alex Ovechkin calls you and says, look, come here and win a cup with me, there's probably not many other players that don't rhyme with the name Schmidmy Schmosby that could get you to do that.
That's true.
All right? Although if he went to the Penguins, I would have been irate. Washington I can take. If he went to the Penguins, I would have been like, no.
I would have burned everything that has Lundqvist on it had he gone to the Penguins.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that the Capitals have been the bane of the Rangers' existence for a long time. It's weird.
In our prime, also we were a bane of
Right.
them as well, right? Lundqvist.
That's
3
true.
years in a row, Lundqvist stole Game 7s from them. So that's why it also makes this intriguing and this matchup interesting. And
Right.
But of course, what Washington has that the Rangers don't is, at least in the past 20 years, is a cup. So.
Right, that's fair. So we'll see what happens in the NHL. Lots of moves going on. Again, the goaltending carousel. Like every team, half the teams in the league have a new goalie, except for the Flyers, who have Carter Hart, who's a great goalie and is going to win the Vezina and the Stanley Cup for the Philadelphia Flyers sometime in the next 20 years.
I'll give you that. I'll give you 20 years. But we'll see what happens. But there you go. Moving on. We could get into more. Jesper Fast went to Carolina. A whole different.
I want to get to the Geek segment, man. I'm excited about the Geek segment this week.
The
whole second half of this episode is going to be fun. After this segment,
yes, because
it'll be fun.
This is a super down moment. This is the lowest of the lows, and then we'll start the roller coaster back up, folks. I promise. Very quickly, and what unfortunately has started to become has become a weekly segment. We want to just shout out the friends and family and fans of icons in their respective fields. First, one of the greatest guitarists, rockers of all time, Eddie Van Halen, passed away this week after a long bout with cancer at the age of 65. If we were ranking guitarists, he's in that top 5. He's in that Mount Rushmore.
Top 2.
Yeah, exactly. He's on the Mount Rushmore of rock and roll, hands down. And what he did with the guitar is just unbelievable. The tributes have, of course, been pouring in from everywhere, and we want to, of course, throw that in. Jack White paid tribute on Saturday Night Live this week. Which was great, and it just was everything. So that's very sad. In other death news, Joe Morgan, Hall of Fame second baseman for the Reds, also passed away at the age of 77. Of course, won 2 World Series with the Reds, the Big Red Machine in 75 and 76. Absolutely one of the best second basemen of his generation. A 5-tool player, could hit for power, could hit for average, speed, fielding, arm, the whole 5-tool player. And, of course, a great broadcaster for many years with ESPN. Until he started to, obviously, he retired from that as his health and his age increased and his health declined. And finally, Whitey Ford, 91 years old, arguably one of the greatest Yankee pitcher of all time. They called him the chairman of the board, 6-time World Series champion, helped steward the team between around the 50s and 60s. People forget in 1961 just how dominant he was because he was playing with a couple guys named Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle. They were going after this home run record. But Whitey Ford was 25-8 with a dental floss ERA on his way to his first and only Cy Young win that year, just to show how dominant that Yankee team was in 61 on the way to their the first of back-to-back World Series in 61 and 62. And yeah, you can't. The dude threw to guys named Yogi Berra, Elston Howard. You know what I mean? Like he was the top guy of a battery of a superstar battery always. And of course, as a Yankee fan, obviously I'm going on a bit more about this than others, but it just
no, it was the golden. Anytime someone from those golden years goes, it's tough.
Yeah. So again, and he passed away watching Game 4 of the Yankees. It's true. They said this that he was watching Game 4, the ALDS. So I'm really glad that they waited one more day before they lost. Bums. Bunch of bums.
I mean, it's fair. I mean,
but I'm again, our condolences to all the friends and family of these individuals and their fans. We're all hurting right now. And moving on now to our geek segment. So we promised it's going to be fun, folks. As I drop my phone,
If you've made it this far, God bless you. Get ready, buckle your seatbelt, because we're going to go to the geek segment now, which I'm excited about. A lot of great geek stuff.
A lot of great geek stuff.
I've been waiting for this. We should have led with this now. I'm thinking about it.
I know.
But hey, you're here. We're here. Maybe you fast-forwarded. Whatever. Happy to have you.
Yes, we appreciate it. We're going to kick things off. Lee, you watched all of the season 2 of The Boys.
I did.
On Amazon Prime. What did you think of that?
I have an unpopular opinion on this, Ray. All right. I was not overly impressed with season 2. Ooh. Now, follow me here, okay? Because I've got a lot of people. You got to see it. You got to watch season 2. It's so good.
That's all I hear all the time. Yes.
Yeah, and you usually don't hear me break away from the pack on things like that. I usually agree with them. I wasn't feeling season 2. I didn't dislike it. I got through it. Obviously, it wasn't bad. I didn't understand the hoopla. And this is where maybe our writing experience comes into this. I thought they relied way more on the shock value of kills and blood and gore this season than they in the first season. It was always shocking. You know what I mean?
Right.
This one was just shock value. Like, oh, look, what's he going to do? Boom! I'll say this without any spoilers. There's a scene with a whale that was really well done. Okay, It was in one of the teaser trailers if you saw it. That was a bloody, gory scene that was really well done. It made a lot of sense. It was funny. It worked. But a lot of the times in this show, I just felt like they were killing to kill, or showing gore to show gore. And I thought the plot and the subplot could have been accomplished in an episode. I'm not going to lie to you. Or a couple episode arc. I didn't think it had to be the whole season. Again, spoiler free. The big reveal at the end of the season, I just thought it was weak. I didn't think it was strong at all. Again, something I thought they could have accomplished a lot faster. I thought with some of the main characters, some of them developed at a healthy pace. Others got kind of weird, and it's just like, where are we going with this? And then the season ends, and it's very much like all right, where are we going now? So again, I don't want to knock the show. All right, I think it was a sophomore slump in my opinion.
Okay.
All right, I'm not a guy that thinks that just sex and blood, it's not going to just get me to watch. I need a little more depth than that. I think that my favorite shows of all time had that, and I think we need that right now. I just didn't think this season had a lot of depth. I'm not going to lie to you. The first season was very much I think I said this too when we watched it. It was very much The Watchmen, but with humor and a little more lighthearted and much more violent, right? And I liked that because it was like, hey, superheroes are screwed up. I love that, right?
Yeah.
This season didn't advance that for me at all. I'm just being honest with you. It didn't advance that. It advanced the human characters more. I'll say that. But I didn't think it was as great as people said it was.
That's fair. That's completely fair. I mean, I'm not going to watch it because I don't have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It was great. That one was not.
No, I mean, and you did mention the sophomore slump. They are coming back for season 3. That is happening.
Yeah, and I'll watch it. I'm just saying. It's kind of like The Walking Dead. It's like, where are we going?
Yeah. Well, that's worrisome because that's usually season 2 is where I dropped off with The Walking Dead. So.
Yeah. Again, look, we'll see. I can't stress this enough. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying I disliked it. I'm saying it didn't do much for me. I made it through it. But if you gave me right now like Cobra Kai season 3 or The Boys season 3, I'm taking Cobra Kai immediately. It's not
that is something I did watch, and that is coming. Yeah.
Right. And 4.
And 4. Yeah, season 3 will be in January, and season 4 is in training, as they put it. Other things that are coming in 2021 now. We talked a couple times about No Time to Die, James Bond. Not a lot of news there, but Lee, you had something with 007 that you were adamant that you had to tell me this story on air. So tell me the story.
Here's why I have to tell this audience this. All right, this will probably be one of our side quests this week, okay? Because this is the only audience that's going to understand my pleasure and pain with this. I went into a Wawa today. For those listeners outside of Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, Wawa is a sandwich shop. It's kind of like a 7-Eleven, but way, way, way better.
Or a Quick Checker if you're from North Jersey.
Check, yeah. But a higher level. Ray, I've taken a Wawa. You would admit
Wawas are good. Wawas are good.
It's a higher level, okay? So I went in there to get a hoagie. Or a sub or a sandwich for the rest of the world.
Sub.
All right, and when you order it, a hoagie. When you order a hoagie, you go to the computer. We've all done this. You put in what you want, and it pops out a ticket, right?
Right.
And you pay for it.
Right, and you get
your sub. Ticket popped out the greatest number of all time today. It says it right there, 007. Not 07, not 7, 007. So I took it upon myself as the geek sports nerd to proudly portray, I am number 007, right? So they come up to, they call your number out. The woman calls out the number, right? I'm ready. She's going to say 007. And I'm like, I was going to go up there and be like, thank you so much for my sandwich. Just do something. And she goes, number 7. And I go, 007. And she goes, whatever, right? So I go over there.
That's Philly.
I grab my sandwich. And I'm like, they're shaking, not stirred. I'm looking around. Everybody's got their mask on. They're just looking at me. I was like, yeah, because it's 007 like James Bond. And then I literally said this. Travis was with me, a friend. I said, no one's laughing, but I am, and I'm proud of it. And then I said, quote, I'm going to talk about this on my podcast tonight. And there it is. Today, 007 got a turkey club run rye sandwich, a shorty Italian wheat, shorty toasted smoked turkey for our producer, Caitlin. 007 badge of honor. We celebrate geekdom here at Geeks Who Like Sports, and today was the day I got 007 at the Wawa. Guaranteed will never happen again the rest of my life. Thank you all for listening to my story. I'm Lee Elias, and I do have a problem.
Well, I guess it's better than 006 because then you'd be Trevelyan and you'd get thrown off of a satellite. So
yes, but then you get to get killed in every other movie starring what's his name.
Oh, that's right? Sean Bean, yeah. Poor Sean Bean gets killed in everything.
Sean Bean. Right. 007. Listen. Come on. You all know you would have been a little bit giddy about getting 007. Not 7, not...
I don't think I would have gone as far as you did, but yes, I would have enjoyed it as I got my sub sandwiches. So, moving on... speaking of guys who are in a lot of movies, it sounds like Doctor Strange is going to be in a lot of movies now, going forward for the Marvel Universe. We're going to be talking about a lot of Marvel stuff, folks. It's kicking things off. Doctor Strange will be in the next Tom Holland movie. We also know that there's supposed to be Spider-Man in the next Doctor Strange movie. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to be doing with this. I know they're trying to do... I think it feels like they're trying to give Peter Parker another mentor a little bit like he had with Tony Stark. But it also feels like they might be opening up the multiverse can a little too quickly. It's like a soda that got shaken up, right? And everybody's all... That's all the fans that are super, super excited, right? And Marvel's like, oh, man, we can't let this settle down. We got to do it now. And it's going to pop and it's going to explode. And it's going to be a huge mess.
No.
I'm curious, Lee, what are your thoughts about Doctor Strange and the third Tom Holland Spider-Man now, along with Electro and all this other stuff?
So I can make this one really simple, unlike my 007 story. I trust Disney 100%.
Until we don't.
I don't trust Sony.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have not been great with things recently, and I know they're heavily involved with Spider-Man now. So... Yeah. These are my thoughts, okay? And there's been some debate because we know DC is doing a multiverse. And we've said before, DC and the multiverse kind of go hand in hand. They originated it. And I'm sure Marvel's been planning this longer than DC has, to be fair. Okay, I think DC's actually just seen an opening. I've heard rumors about old Spider-Man coming back. I've heard rumors about all these cameos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It can't be a gimmick. I don't want it to be a cameo. The reason why the DC multiverse is so intriguing is because it's like, hey, Keaton and Affleck are in on the script, and they're heavy major characters in this story. I'm like, wow, that's something I can get into. If Tobey Maguire pops up for 2 seconds and he's out, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't need that. No one's asking for that.
Yeah.
Then you get Miles Morales and all that stuff. So I'm worried. I'm concerned. I'm going to say it again. I trust Disney. I do not trust Sony.
That's fair. But to remember, they did already do Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. So if they can find
animated.
a way to do that smartly in the MCU, the way they did it in that one animated film,
Oh, yeah. It's dangerous. Man.
it is
That's all I'm gonna
dangerous.
say.
It's always dangerous
Yeah.
whenever
And they
you
didn't
bring
bring back
in
any
7
characters.
Spider-Men or whatever. Like, it's always
Well,
dangerous.
what I'm saying is they didn't bring in any old characters in that film. It was a brilliant film because it was so original.
It was all new, yeah.
Right. So I don't know. I just think it's dangerous. And again, I'm going to say it again. I trust Disney, but if they let Sony get their hands on Strange, I mean, they could screw things up. So here's hoping they don't. We'll see what happens. Spider-Verse is on big. I'll say they're walking on eggshells right now for me. I mean, I hope they nail it. I really mean that, but we'll see.
Yes, we will see. And speaking of older Spider-Man films, Marvel Disney made a big announcement this week, which is that they are adding, of course, a lot of the old X-Men films, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, and they are describing those as Marvel Legacy films. And I, for one, think this is a great idea, because it's unfortunately, I think. I think it didn't work with Star Wars in terms of like the books and the expanded universe and stuff, because that's what we had for so long. Right. Whereas with this is a great way to say, look, this is what got us started and got us to where we are now, and clearly this is where we want to be. Whereas with Star Wars, we don't want to be in the new trilogy or after the new trilogy because it was really not that great. We want to be more with the Mandalorian. But anyway, the Marvel Legacy films, I think, is a great idea because, it harkens back to what it once was. It doesn't completely discount them whatsoever. And smartly, again, if they do decide to try and bring some of these characters back in multiverses, it's an easy way for people to see where they came from and reference back to them. Lee, what are your thoughts on the Marvel Legacy films on Disney+?
Yeah, I'm glad they took the page out of Star Wars in terms of calling it Legacy, because I think that kind of keeps it uniform. I'm a big fan of that. The difference with Star Wars, as you said, is the Star Wars stuff was canon for so long. I don't think I've ever looked at X-Men or those original movies. Oh, this is canon.
Right, there's always been a delineation.
Yeah, right. It's been clear, so I think that's a good one. What I don't get, again, I love the nod to the past. I love that those movies are now available mostly on Disney+. It's a cool, uniformed way of keeping things together. What I don't understand is every time I go on Disney Plus or every time I see an advertisement for like the new Marvel Legacy films, why are you trying to jam the old Fantastic Four film that no one saw down my throat? It's not the original Fantastic Four that has Jessica Alba in it. It was fun and it was not bad.
Yeah,
right.
It's fine for the
time.
Stop
trying to jab every time. But the Fantastic Four. I don't want to see this, but Michael B. Jordan's in it. It sucked.
It was
I don't
terrible.
Want to see it. Stop trying to get me to watch it. I don't understand why they're doing that. So
I saw that on HBO or something. I'm glad I didn't pay.
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I didn't see it in theaters. I'm glad I didn't pay for it. It's one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen.
Again, still haven't seen it, and I don't plan to.
So
I just don't understand why the studio keeps trying to show me that. Like, I remember one time I was joking. I was saying to you months ago, like Disney Plus hadn't come out yet, a year ago actually, and they like Disney Plus. The Fantastic Four was the movie on the poster. I was like, yo, pump the brakes, Disney. Don't try too hard to get me to watch. I was like, what do you guys do? What is with that movie?
Yeah,
that that's
not the movie. If you're trying to garner and see what the interest is in the Fantastic Four, that's not the movie to use. That's not the one.
Yeah. The Jessica Alba one is.
Yeah.
And the second one wasn't that bad either. They weren't that bad.
It wasn't bad until the end when Galactus was that giant cloud thing, and I'm just like, what?
Well, no, that was dumb. Okay.
Yeah, the second one was okay until then, and then it was like, all right, I'm done. But it's also hard to do the Silver Surfer and the cosmic stuff. Anyway,
they did well. They did well with that though, up until that point.
That point, yes.
Lawrence Fishburne was a good Silver Surfer
as the voice of him. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, very much a Darth Vader's situation there. So where like James Earl Jones was the voice of Vader. Anyway, but speaking of Disney Plus, Disney came out this week that they are reimagining a lot of their business model, and they are coming in and they are focusing on Disney Plus and streaming. There's Vader. And honestly, are any of us surprised? Disney Plus is making
some
them.
people are.
Disney Plus is
Some
making
people
them
are.
$100 million a month. A month. Like even with Mulan only making whatever it was, $40 million or whatever it was, that's on top of the $100 million a month they're making from streaming.
With no expenses.
Yes, it's just exactly again
With
talk about
no
legacy stuff.
expenses.
It's mostly legacy stuff. Like it's just like
Right.
oh god, it allows them.
I want to bring that up. I talk about Mulan. Somebody was fighting me on Facebook about Mulan. Like $33 million is not a lot of money, and I'm like, okay. First off, this movie was panned. It made $33 million. They had no upfront cost to theaters. It made $33 million.
Yeah.
It's gonna be free in December, and it made $33 million.
Yes.
What are you fighting here? It's a hit. That's a hit. It's a home run.
Yep.
Okay, they may have very well. I'm not talking about endgame level here, but they may very well have made money on that more than if it made $50 million in the theater.
Yes,
and that was on the opening week, guys.
Not to mention how many families may have signed up in that period to try to get Mulan early to try and find something for their kids. You know what I mean? Like I mean, we've talked.
I know the feeling of trying to get something. All right.
Yeah.
I remember when Trolls came out. It was like, gotta get, it's a nice gift for your kids. I mean, I'm not talking about people who can't afford these things, but like, yeah, a new movie that, I love my kids, and Ray knows that, but sometimes you need a break, and a little nice hour and 45-minute break with a movie is always welcome, and kids watch movies more than once.
Yes.
So
exactly, it pays for itself at that point.
If you watch it twice, it's paid for itself. Keeping in mind, going to the movies with a family of 4 is easily a $100 endeavor. When you factor in gas and food and the tickets, assuming you do all those things, if it's just straight to the movies and it's not
like
like
if you're in LA, you're paying for parking. It's like it's
right.
Yeah,
like it's an event, all right. And like I said, it's not the future anymore. It's the present. I've heard every rumor that now they are really considering Black Widow coming out on a streaming service, even though they've pushed it back.
I would buy that.
We know Coming to America 2 has just decided to switch boats from Paramount Pictures to Amazon,
yeah, that's
which is a
deal.
major deal.
Yeah.
All right? That is Eddie Murphy saying, you know what? I don't want to be in theaters. We're just going to go right to Amazon. Because a movie like Bill and Ted, Face the Music did well. What do you think Coming to America 2 is going to do? Yeah. All right? So it's time for the movie industry and directors to start preparing for the possibility of the digital release becoming the mainstream release, and that the theater experience needs to change. Because I'll tell you the mistake they're going to make is, well, when the pandemic ends, people will come back to theaters. And they will, but it better be worth it. It better be an experience. We've talked about this at least in 10 episodes now.
And it's going to be slow because I'm telling you now, they're saying that. All the scientists are saying this pandemic is still going to be around until next year.
It absolutely is. So there's no way we don't go a full year before we see any relief from this, in my opinion. So even if a vaccine comes tomorrow, it's going to be at least March before you have any kind of. And that that's not. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just realistic.
This is the realism of the situation that we're in, folks. It's unfortunate. Yeah. I said this unfortunately back in March, and everyone said, "Oh, look at Ray being Mr. Negative," and I'm like, "No,
you did.
It's science. This is how things work in science."
Science.
It's like
he blinded me with science.
Oh, God, I mean,
He blinded me with science.
And I get it. I'm the kind of nerd that does read science journals and things of that nature. But something like this has been being warned about for 15 years. Some of us were prepared. Most of us weren't. Like the government.
Sorry. The government. Look, we're just being realistic about it. Denying it, like climate change, is never healthy. Here's some other things. Guess what? This presidential election is happening, and it will be over at some point.
Yes.
Take that to the bank. Might be in November, might be November 21. Who knows? But it will end at some point.
Vote.
Anyway.
Get out and vote. No matter what you have to do, come up with a plan and vote. Not telling you who to vote for, but vote.
Yes. I am going to vote in person with my wife.
And I voted by mail, and my vote's already been counted. Yes. I got the email I got the email on Sunday.
We're doing it different ways, same destination.
Exactly.
I do want to say, too, so yeah, Coming to America 2 is going to Amazon, which is a major move.
Yes.
It's a major middle finger to Paramount Pictures, but a smart move for the film itself. Also, Ray, I wanted to say that Animaniacs is coming to Hulu, and they had one of the greatest teaser trailers I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely brilliant.
Which
So
essentially
well
they yes, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it right now and come back. But they basically recreated the scene from Jurassic Park where they first see the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And it's an intelligent teaser in the sense of it assumes the audience knows what the Animaniacs are. It gives them some very good technical jargon on how to animate, why it's widescreen, like things like that. Mm-hmm. And it just played into the scene perfectly. I don't want to spoil it. If you're a fan of the Animaniacs, or if you're not, go watch the teaser trailer for Animaniacs returning. I'm excited about this show coming back.
Yep, November. I think November 20th they said, but November for sure is it's coming out. So
can't wait to share that with my kids.
And Pinky in the Brain, and they're bringing back Pinky in the Brain too.
Yeah, tell me you're bringing back Pinky in the Brain. We're bringing back Pinky in the Brain. Oh my!
Put your head between your legs. Breathe.
Sometimes I wonder if we did Pinky in the Brain, if we're both the brain, and then I realized I'm kind of Pinky, but I'm not dumb. But you're definitely the brain. Narf! What was that?
I think that's fair.
Oh, thanks, bud.
No, but you're smart.
What are we gonna do tonight, Ray?
You're smart, Pinky. Look,
I
I have machinations on global domination.
That's true.
I mean, but you're not my side. You're not my sidekick, though. If anything, I'm more your sidekick. This is
right, Ray. What do you want to do tonight? The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to do Geeks Who Like Sports.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know which one. Comment below. Which one of you think is the brain and which one do you think is Pinky?
I don't know. Maybe that's not our cartoon. Maybe we're something else.
Well, actually,
we're more like the two Spider-Man pointing at each other. Just, hey!
Yeah,
hey.
You're the same. He has webs, too.
Superman. You're going to do it.
Oh, you know what I think. I don't know. Did you see the clip I sent you last night? By the way, for the Eagles, this is a quick thing. No.
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah,
TikTok
it was Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, and Fletcher Cox is just standing there, and he's like, he's gonna do this all game. He's gonna do this, and it's Brandon Graham talking trash all game, running his mouth. Both are great players. But I was like, for that one, I do believe that I am Brandon Graham and you are Fletcher Cox, where you're just basically like, Ray's just going to keep talking if you let him. He's not going to shut up.
Yeah, okay, yes, that makes sense. I thought you had it reversed in your head.
Oh, no, I'm Brandon Graham. I'm the one who doesn't shut up and who's constantly talking trash, and you're just like, yeah, that's what Ray does. That's what Ray's going to do.
He's going to do that all game. Yeah, it's the Eagles. I'll take it.
I made myself into an eagle for you. Okay,
Ray, you've watched the Eagles win the Super Bowl with me. I'm forever in debt for that, so I have to return it whenever the Giants get there. So I'm safe until my kids are out of college. It'll be great. The fandom never dies.
It's gonna be a long rebuild. Anyway, moving on. Speaking of
moving on.
Yeah, we were talking about a lot of Disney stuff, of course, and we're actually, this is a fun question because this came up in chat and or in on the group page. And Lee mentioned his love of Thor Ragnarok. And surprisingly, got a lot of affirmation on this. So we want to know, this isn't even the question, this is, I guess, the first of two questions of the week. But what, Lee, obviously you said that Thor Ragnarok is your favorite Marvel movie. And
Right.
Explain a little bit more of the situation for the people at home.
Right. So I put on our group page, which was just a great page. This is where you get to interact back and forth with us and the other people in the Geeks Who Like Sports community. But Thor Ragnarok was released 3 years ago this past week. So I put up a post that said, unpopular opinion, this was the best overall movie in the MCU. Debate. All right. And surprisingly, a lot of people came back saying that they agree. Usually I take a lot of flack for saying this. I usually get people saying, Endgame, Endgame, Endgame. Right. To be fair, that was when Endgame. Endgame is not the best movie in the MCU. Infinity War is an infinitely better film than Endgame. Yes. Endgame is the best fan service film I've ever seen.
It's a culmination of 10 years of work.
I loved it. I don't want people to think I didn't like it, but if you're talking about the best overall film, I don't know. So we got a lot of comments here. I do have to give myself a tap on the back. The first comment was from Randall Begins. He goes, "It's a trap!" Right? And it's Admiral Akbar, to which I responded with Palpatine just cackling because I'm like, good, the debate. And people started coming back. So, again, we have a lot of people that said that no one panned the movie. Everybody loves it, but a lot of people are saying that, okay, Endgame or Infinity War or the original Avengers is the best film. And I understand the argument for the original Avengers. I'm not actually against that. I don't personally think it's better than Ragnarok as an overall film because it's a culmination of things. If I were to watch Ragnarok standalone and Avengers standalone, it would be very close which one I'd pick, but I'd probably pick Ragnarok just due to the hilarious nature of it. But Jason Peller, who's one of our followers and actually a friend of my family, he agreed with me, and then he wrote this post, and I want to read it because I think this does cement my point. Okay, so Ray, before I actually jump into this, is Ragnarok your favorite film, or do you have another one?
No, Ragnarok. It's tough. I think Ragnarok might be top 3. I think also fair. Ragnarok gets some love because it was such a departure after the disaster that was Thor 2, The Dark World. Right? Like, you went from probably the worst or one of the worst of the Marvel movies, and you came back with one of the best. Taika Waititi is a comedic genius. You worked in World War Hulk. You worked in a lot of things that really made it like a buddy comedy. It made Thor
Jeff Goldblum in it.
A much more dynamic character after the first. The first Thor was solid, right? But it went like this is basically how the first trilogy went.
And this is what I want to say. So one of the fans said correctly that all they did was take Thor and put him into a Guardians of the Galaxy film. Right. And that's true. Now, this person wrote that as kind of like a scapegoat. And I remember thinking, do you know how hard it is to take a major character, major motion picture character, and completely transition him in a way that almost nobody really noticed they did that?
Yeah.
If you want to see how big of a departure Ray's talking about, go watch Thor 1 and 2 and then watch Ragnarok. It's a different character.
Yeah.
Completely. They could have recast.
Yes.
It's a different character, and they pulled it off seamlessly. That's number one. So I give Taiki a lot of credit. Number one for that. The writing was brilliant, the way they brought in Hulk. But this comment from Jason Peller is what I want to read because this is going to bring up a really strong point for why this is the best film. And it will make you, and this is like all great points do, it's actually going to make you more critical of the other films, which I think is something that people need to hear. This is what he wrote. He wrote, Ragnarok is great in part because it is one of the few movies in the MCU that doesn't just default to a deus ex machina. Like, oh, look, we just happen to have this thing that lets us win. Thor has to go through a complete hero's quest, and then the only way to succeed is to lose what he was trying to save. In fact, the movie is so good, the Russos completely stole it for the Iron Man plot in Endgame. Okay, which I thought is a really good point. And then he starts listing them off. Captain America had the Tesseract. Avengers had a nuke. Captain Marvel had the Tesseract and the power. Iron Man had the arc reactor. The Winter Soldier had electronic chips. Civil War had Black Panther. Black Panther had heart-shaped herbs. He's completely right, Ray. Every one of those characters has something to fall back on, which is very comic booky. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing that. I don't want anybody listening to think I'm criticizing that. But he's right. It was a absolute, I love you said it, hero's quest.
Yeah.
With the Hulk, where the only way to win was to destroy what he loved. And then it didn't really leave on a happy note, if you think about it.
Yeah, a bit of a tragic ending. He's a tragic hero after that, yeah.
Right. Not to mention just the way they did the music with Led Zeppelin was brilliant.
Yes.
The way that he has to overcome the death of his father and the loss of his hammer. They turned Mjolnir into a character, and you felt for the hammer.
Yeah.
You felt for an inanimate object. Don't act like you didn't. Okay? It's the best movie overall in the MCU, followed very closely for me with the Avengers. Okay?
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say. If it was a standalone film, I would probably take Ragnarok over the Avengers by a hair. But
yeah.
I want to know what you think, obviously, at home. If you agree or disagree. Jason, I got to give you a shout out. That is just a phenomenal comment. That is the type of comment I look for on this channel because it's fuel for me, number one, but it's just brilliant that you're able to dissect the film that much. I love that about this community.
Very good analysis. Very good analysis. Analysis I did not think of. So credit to him, yeah.
Right. It's tough to do that to Ray and I because we analyze everything too much.
That's also true.
To the point we talk about it at least for an hour and 32 minutes every week.
Yes. Oh, goodness. Yeah, so for that, yeah, that's interesting because for me, it's hard. Like, obviously, I usually default back to either, like, Iron Man 1 or Captain America 1. But I would definitely put Ragnarok in my top 3. But
Yeah.
I also really,
alone.
people also give me a lot of guff for this, but I also really love Ed Norton Hulk, which I guess isn't technically part of the MCU now, but now they're going to bring that in somehow, some way, supposedly, through the multiverse, which I don't know.
I wish I could have seen the film that Norton wanted to make.
That's true.
For those of you who don't know, Norton left the part of the role because, I mean, it's kind of a dumb reason in the sense of when you look at the movie, he said he wanted less Hulk and more Banner. Which doesn't make sense. People want the Hulk, right? But I think he came, victim to the time. I mean, he wanted to make a 3-hour movie that was much more deep. At that time, they weren't doing movies like that. The MCU was not fully developed at that point. It's in the early years. This is the second movie, I think, after Iron Man, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so it's a shame. But like I said, the Hulk lives on. Hulk's going to have his own trilogy sometime in the next 20 years. I thought everything about Ragnarok nailed the characters, and it was so funny.
Yeah,
so funny. All right, the way that they let that happen. I mean, I also think there are two. I have to say this too. There are 2 trailers that I think are the greatest trailers of all time in movie history. One is Ready Player One. I believe the second trailer is one of my favorite trailers, and then Thor Ragnarok had the best trailer I have ever seen, by far, using Led Zeppelin. Yeah. It was the best trailer I've ever seen. I loved it. I'll share it on the page later.
All right. So, we're going to share the page later as well, or at least in a few days, is going to be the fact of our Star Trek special.
Yes.
So we are part of Virtual TrekCon, which will be this coming Monday, October the 19th at 8:45 a.m. Pacific time, 11:45 a.m. Eastern. So if you're having your lunch break and you want to jump on YouTube, we'll be sure to share the links. I believe Caitlin might already be sharing the links as we speak. But
Captain Picard's looking at us do the episode and one of the links, and I can't stop laughing about it because it's like a dream come true for me.
Yes.
And the best part of it is Data's looking up, and I'm like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah.
It's awesome. No, we had a great time doing this panel, and I'll tell you what, for those of you who are Star Trek fans, you'll love it. We go over sports in the Star Trek universe. It was a really fun episode to produce, and a little bit of a mirror episode, as you'll find out, as I end up playing the host in that episode, and Ray ends up being the guest. Yeah. So it was really fun to do. I even have the goatee, so it worked out. Make sure you check that out. Obviously, the episode will be released through Geeks Who Like Sports. But if you want to watch it live with us, please check it out on YouTube as it premieres, again, as Ray said, on Monday, 8:45 a.m. Pacific time or 11:45 a.m. Eastern time. Come have lunch or breakfast with us and talk Star Trek on Geeks Who Like Star Trek and Sports.
Yes, it's going to be a good episode. It's a lot of fun. It definitely... it was definitely a mix-up, a mirror episode, as Lee said, but I think you guys will really enjoy it. I had a good time. Lee had a good time. It's great. Lee was the host, and I brought the props. What the prop is?
He did.
What the prop is, you need to find out.
Right, yeah. It was a phaser he shot me. That's not what it was.
No, it wasn't a phaser. That'd be cool to have a phaser. I wish I had a phaser. Anyway.
I used to have one, tricorder. Yeah, I'm a nerd, man. Really, I'm a geek. It's bad. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, same here. But moving on now to our final subject, we're going to do our mashup. We've talked about a lot of crossovers and multiverses today. Doctor Strange going to different movies, Spider-Man going to different movies, all these other different things, Hulk in different movies. So we are asking, I should say, what current athlete would you like to see in another sport? You know, we've seen this before. Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders, probably the 2 most infamous football players going to play baseball. Michael Jordan as well. But of course, he never reached the majors. But he went from basketball to baseball. What we want to know: what current player do you guys want to see possibly take on a second sport? Lee, what are your thoughts?
So it's funny because I have, as usual, more than one answer for this. So part of me wants to see every professional athlete, all of them, every single one that don't play ice hockey, just because it would be amazing to see these guys try and skate. And not to pick on, but I'd like to see LeBron James try other sports because I think he would actually be good at them.
I think he'd be a great receiver or tight end in football.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. And like I said, the way he works. Let me ask you this question, Ray. Is this active athletes or can we do athletes from the past?
I'm saying active athletes. I'm saying current athletes.
I would like to see what Russell Wilson could do if he was actually a full-time baseball player. I'm just very curious about that. I think he'd be very good. I think he'd pick the right profession. I'd also like to see some of these other quarterbacks pitch, right? Like some of these gunslingers that just throw the ball. Mahomes would be unbelievable.
Well, I mean, his dad was a pitcher for the Mets, So
I know. I could totally see him doing something like that. Or like something crazy too, like maybe see some of these team sport players play individual sports. Like I wouldn't mind seeing some of these wide receivers play tennis, or something like that. You know what I mean? But I would love to see professional athletes try ice hockey in a safe environment. I'll tell you this too. I mean, and this is a departure. I'd like to see guys like Matthew Barzal of the New York Islanders or Connor McDavid in a sprinting competition. You know what I mean? Because these guys move fast. Or see them play wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Because these guys who skate fast can typically run very fast too. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I lean more towards the hilarity. But yeah, I'd like to see and I mean this out of respect. I'd like to see a dominant LeBron James level athlete, right, or a Tom Brady try another sport because I just think that their willpower to do it would actually overtake them looking silly. I think they'd actually be good at whatever they do.
Yeah.
I'd also really like to see, this is a little bit of a departure, but I would pay to see, I'm not kidding, I am but I'm not, Bill Belichick and Saban play chess.
That would be fascinating. That would be fascinating.
Wrong, right?
Yeah.
It would take forever.
Yeah.
All right? But the clock management would be phenomenal.
Yeah. Boom, boom. Just hitting.
Why did you do that move there? Well, we're on to the rook versus knight. we're on to the next move.
Oh goodness, yeah, those are good ones. I would also say Mike Trout, one of these dominant athletes, probably moving over into
and hockey. He could play hockey.
I was gonna say either football or hockey. Right. Even I think he could actually. I think I don't know if he could skate, but he might be a good hockey player.
J.J. Watt ice hockey, boom, sold. That's my pick.
I think that any of the Watt brothers, J.J., T.J. Right. Or DJ, that's what it is. JJ, TJ, and DJ. Any one of them would probably be a good athlete in another sport, for sure.
Dustin Bufflin as a linebacker.
He probably move better than he does on skates.
Zdeno Chara as a basketball player.
You could see that, for sure.
Sorry, a very short basketball player. He would not be the tallest guy out there, which is funny.
No,
he'd be taller, but he wouldn't be the tallest.
He'd be a power forward. He wouldn't be a center. He'd be like a power forward.
He wouldn't be what he is in the NHL, yeah.
Right, exactly.
There you go. Those are my picks.
So, I mean, and if you play for the Mets, well, you all already play golf every year, so... sorry, it was too easy.
No, you know what the thing is with the Mets, just real quick, the fans actually aren't bad. They're annoying, but they're not bad. They're no less annoying than Philadelphia fans. I feel bad for the fans because they love that team and they suck.
Yeah, the Mets are terrible. Again,
it's bad
as always.
Mets and the Jets. Why is it always you two? Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's a good one. So let us know. Comment below what athletes what current athletes you'd like to see play or try to take on another sport if they could. And yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. Actually,
it's another great one, man. Episode 78 was fun. Again, gotta say to all of you, if you listened all the way through, we appreciate you so much. Remember, this podcast is fun, but it's also a community. Make sure to join us on Geeks Who Like Sports, both the page and the Facebook group. We love and thrive on interacting with you. And look, once again, we've been to PAX twice. We're at a Star Trek convention. We continue to grow because of your love and support, and we cannot thank you enough for that. Thank you for doing this.
And we can't wait to hope to
continue to bring it for you.
Can announce some other big things on the horizon as we continue our aggressive expansion. And like Lee said,
aggressive expansion.
Yes. But follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. If you don't, obviously you can listen. We've had more listens in the past week than we've had in a while, and we appreciate that.
Right.
I'm guessing as folks are going back to work, you're all putting us up in your car again, and we appreciate that. But yeah, wherever you listen to us, whether it's on the drive to work or it's in the morning as you get things started, whatever it might be, we appreciate it, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. It means a lot. But yeah, this has been episode 78. Stay tuned for our Star Trek special. That'll be out next week, and then episode 79. But until then, for Lee, I am Ray. We are wishing you a good morning, afternoon, or night, depending on whenever you're listening to us, but we hope that it is good. Haven't done that in a while. Good night, everybody.